Coming up, I arrive sweaty in running shorts. Donald Trump enters, hovering and smirking like a Cheshire cat. The president and the pedophile. Are you still going on about Jeffrey Epstein? He's been dead for 6 years. Trump backers view Jeffrey Epstein as pure evil. But billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. We must release the Epstein list. Call it the Epstein hoax. The issue keeps plaguing Donald Trump. Trump appears to be concealing something. That's ahead on 60 Minutes. Regardless of the final result from Donald Trump's direct talks with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, simply making the meeting occur marks a major win for the U.S. president. It's evident Trump has real skills. Domestically, he's shown particular skill in weathering scandals. Over the past 5 years, the president has confronted 91 felony charges, 4 criminal indictments, 2 impeachment proceedings, and in a civil suit, been held liable for sexual abuse. Yet last November, most Americans still chose him to lead the nation. Now, however, cracks are showing in Trump's defenses. The cause is his uneven management of the so-called Epstein files. Potential evidence, real or imagined, about the elite ties of America's most reviled pedophile, the deceased billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. Did you ever have a personal relationship with Donald Trump? What do you mean by personal relationship? Did you socialize with him? Did you ever socialize with Donald Trump when females under 18 were present? Though I'd like to respond to that question at least for now, I must invoke my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights. This question has gripped Washington and the globe for weeks. Exactly what was Donald Trump's connection to the disgraced Jeffrey Epstein? And how much does the president know about the twisted realm built by the pedophile financier? Are folks still discussing this guy, this predator? Trump's connection to the disgraced Jeffrey Epstein. And how much does the president know about the twisted realm built by the pedophile financier? Are folks still discussing this guy, this predator? The president has long cast himself as the one able to reveal Jeffrey Epstein's most sinister secrets. Would you declassify the Epstein files? Yeah, I would. But weeks ago, after months of hinting at releasing the documents, the Trump administration suddenly reversed course. A Justice Department and FBI examination found no proof that infamous sex offender Jeffrey Epstein maintained any so-called client list. The backlash has erupted into a major political controversy that Donald Trump, unusually, can't seem to escape. At its core is the friendship between the president and the pedophile. Is the president being dishonest? Oh my goodness, yes. Yes, he's lying. Music far from Washington, D.C. It's where Maria Farmer has created a peaceful existence after enduring abuse from Jeffrey Epstein and his partner Ghislaine Maxwell. But as the scandal engulfs the White House, she feels compelled to speak out on President Trump's approach to the Epstein files. It's among the worst injustices I've ever seen. It feels like Watergate multiplied by 1 billion since it concerns children. I believe what he's doing is attempting to conceal his own ties or involvement with these individuals. Since taking office, Donald Trump has worked hard to separate himself from the billionaire financier and his horrific offenses. I had a falling out with him long ago. I don't think I've spoken to him in 15 years. I wasn't a fan. But for Maria, their closeness is undeniable. Epstein called him his best friend. He just said, "That's my best friend." Maria was in her early 20s when hired and abused by Jeffrey Epstein in the mid-1990s. During that period, she saw directly how tight her employer was with Donald Trump. Epstein remarked that after Trump and Ivana divorced, he said, "I inherited Trump and Ghislaine inherited Ivana." So you'd see Ivana at the house often and Trump at the offices, but the two would never overlap. They'd never meet. It happened in Epstein's Manhattan office where Maria says she had a troubling run-in with the current president. "The first time I met him was the night before starting my job," Epstein said. "I need you to come to the offices." I was like, "It's 9 o'clock at night." But I went up. I arrive all sweaty in running shorts. Donald Trump walks in, acting oddly, hovering with this smirking, all-knowing grin like a Cheshire grin. Instinctively, I made the ugliest face possible. Epstein found it cute. He walked out saying, "Oh no, Maria. No, she's not here for you. He stressed. She's not here for you. Then, come with me. He led Trump away. As Epstein's doing this, Trump mutters under his breath, "Oh, I thought she was 16. I found that really strange, like beyond typical guy talk." Maria says she never witnessed Trump act improperly. The White House disputes her account, claiming the president never visited Epstein's offices. So when the White House insists Donald Trump was never at Jeffrey Epstein's offices, is the president lying? Oh my heavens. Yes, he's lying. The bond between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein is extensively recorded. For almost 2 decades, they were known as prominent New York figures. One a controversial real estate mogul, the other a rich financier. They appeared together at social events from New York to Florida. Trump flew on Epstein's private plane, sometimes alone, sometimes with family. Epstein attended Trump's wedding to Marla Maples. In 2002, he called Jeffrey Epstein a terrific guy, saying he was fun and liked beautiful women, many on the younger side. But beneath the glitzy surface, Jeffrey Epstein was a predator. By 2006, he'd been exposed as a pedophile. Convicted of child sex trafficking, though years passed before the full scope of his horrors emerged. By then, Donald Trump claims he'd ended contact. "For years, I avoided Jeffrey Epstein. I cut him off because he did something inappropriate. He poached people who worked for me. I warned him. Don't do that again. He did, so I banned him. Persona non grata. Threw him out." Yet the relationship's end is now under fresh examination after President Trump reneged on his campaign pledge to release the so-called Epstein files. Why does the Epstein matter, these promised documents, captivate both Trump's loyalists and critics so intensely? Many questions linger. How did he earn his fortune? Why did influential people, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, all associate with him? What was really going on? And there are genuine victims. Will Sommer is an experienced political journalist and author. He notes this topic has gripped Trump's MAGA supporters uniquely. Trump supporters regard Jeffrey Epstein as the devil, an incredibly wicked figure, and fairly so. But they also view him as possibly central to a vast network. In their view, this man supplied young girls to global elites. Many think the identities in that network are hidden in the Epstein files. Over 300 gigabytes of data and physical proof of crimes against more than 1,000 girls and young women. Some items like flight logs from his plane, the Lolita Express, are already out, but any client list stays missing. Earlier this year, the president learned his name appears multiple times in the files. The context isn't clear, but it fuels curiosity about his reluctance to go public. Is that why this has become such a headache for Trump? On one side, his base sees Epstein as evil and Trump as the one to expose everything and dismantle it. On the other, he's clearly linked. It's tough for them to process. This moment challenges Trump because they've overlooked old footage, but now more details about their ties surface, and the biggest hurdle is that Trump really seems to be concealing something. As a result, even some Trump supporters are saying, "This looks really suspicious." Maria Farmer is definitely skeptical, not just from her encounter with the president, but because she warned authorities years earlier. She was the first Epstein victim to raise the alarm, contacting the FBI in 1996 and noting it in her diary. "I recall desperately telling this FBI agent that children were in grave danger. I reported an international pedophile and child porn network, a federal offense. It wasn't just Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I mentioned this businessman. He seemed flashy, like a game show host or used car salesman, a big New York name. They said, 'Oh, Donald Trump.' The FBI inferred from my description that I meant Donald Trump." Her report wasn't acted on then, or in 2006 when she restated her claims to federal investigators finally probing Epstein. So when President Trump promised to uncover the Epstein truth, Maria was doubtful. "I reported him because I knew he belonged to that circle. I didn't know his exact role, just that he was deeply involved." The president's unwillingness to be open has, for the first time, alienated some supporters. I expected the files to come out and those who deserve accountability to face it. Music. In Washington, scandals fade quickly, and no one dodges them better than President Trump. But the Epstein files controversy has lingered like glue. Is this the greatest challenge of the Trump administration yet? It is the biggest,